They are shamelessly making fun of everything. Women, men, any and all things. We at Slaughterhouse Cartoons also believe in the democratic process. So if you are a verified subscriber on YouTube, you have one vote per person, up or down, in comments per cartoon. To keep it or dump it. We are also on Minds, BeatShoot, Twitter, Gab AI, Steemit, and all under the same name. If you like crude, rude, and everything else, check out Slaughterhouse Cartoons. You will not be disappointed. Goodbye.
Basically, what I wanted to discuss before we get into our guest of honor tonight, and about pornography and its form of subversion, and it's obviously male hatred, is I had a comment about in regards to Trump that me and Luke MGTOW expat Unchanged, whatever you want to call him, we're both Trump supporters. I am biased towards being a Trump fan, just because of where he is and where he's from, his background. Please, understand that I don't think the average person really gets Trump. I can call myself a Trump whisperer. Okay, I have a form of telepathy towards Donald Trump. Why? Because I know everything about him. I knew his street. Okay, I knew where he walked as a kid. I know who he dealt with, who he spoke to, who he did business with. I know these people's personalities from first-hand experience, okay? I don't know those people per se, but I know the character, unlike the rest of the entire world. But one must understand that what is Trump's background? He was a real estate developer in New York during a really shitty fucking time in New York City. Horrible time. There was death everywhere. Crackheads dying, people ODing, graffiti, prostitutes, murders. It was a horrible, horrible time to be in New York City up until Giuliani took over in the, I guess you could maybe mid-90s, early 90s. Now, what is this thing? What is this talk about Russia collusion? What is it? No one really knows. Okay, a lot of it's convoluted. A lot of it's not real. But where there's smoke, there is fire. Okay. Now, when Trump built the Taj Mahal in Atlantic City, there was already a lot of casinos there. For those who don't know, Atlantic City is like the Las Vegas on the East Coast. Not nearly as big, not nearly as nice. It's horrible. It's actually not a really nice of a place. It's about maybe like 3 or 4 hours from where I live. It's outside New York City. Okay. Now, when Trump built this gargantuan hotel called the Taj Mahal, he was losing money. He was losing money really hard on that deal. And in order to prop up the Taj Mahal, okay, he had to start selling the condominiums in New York City and in Brooklyn and in Queens. Okay, so in order to get that done, okay, he had to start letting Russian Jews into New York. Okay, there was some type of bill that was passed during the 70s that allowed people from Soviet Union countries from the Soviet Union into the United States. There was a mass migration from Soviet Union countries into the United States once around the time Stalin died. Okay, so it was people with a lot of wealth, a lot of money. So basically, in order to prop up his casino, he ran somewhat of a money laundering scheme out of his casino, where the money was laundered through Trump condominiums and Trump cooperatives.
Hold on, Lamprey. I'm having some weird issues. It says we're streaming.
Yeah.
It says we're streaming, but if I go to the watch page, it says it's finished. So I'm gonna have.
No, it's on. It's working.
Is it working?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah, it's working. You're good.
What the
We're
fuck?
solid.
Yeah.
Yes, you're streaming.
Yeah.
Rico just said you're streaming. You sound really good. Okay.
Okay, it sounds good. I hear you. Yes, you're streaming. Okay, great. I don't know what the fuck's going on with my YouTube, man. It's going bizarre. But as long as you guys are there and you can hear us, then okay, we'll just keep plugging along.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
We're
And many people comment. Many people came.
Yeah,
You see on
I see
the
it.
top chat comment, yeah.
Okay. All right. So as long as
Okay.
you guys can hear us, and if
Yes.
I'm just gonna ask the viewers if you can hear us now, and you see us streaming, please say something in the comments, just to confirm. I know I've seen a few other comments come up, but like I said, I've had some weird stuff happen here. Fuck. If I go into the if I go into the watch page, it says it's finished. But it's
Same with me. Stream ended 8 minutes ago. Weird in here also.
Everybody's saying it's good. All right. Okay, so let's just keep going.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's just keep going and see how this goes. Everybody says they can see it. So, all right. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you, Lamprey. I just wanted to be sure because of all this bullshit. So, anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. So, in order to keep Trump's failing empire propped up during the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, he was losing money not only on the casino but about a decade before the Taj Mahal, before Atlantic City, there were these massive rental buildings. Trump's father and Trump, maybe not so much Trump, but his father certainly did, built these rental buildings, massive apartment complexes. His father was the sponsor. He was the developer. Well, when during the whole crack epidemic, white flight, the economy stagnant with inflation, during Reagan's economy, it favored Wall Street. Certainly didn't favor, it was Wall Street, not Main Street under the Reagan administration. So he was taking huge hits on his rental buildings. All right. So what the government did in the 70s and 80s was the government gave a way out for people like Trump, real estate developers in New York City that own these rental buildings. He was a big landlord that owned, thousands of apartments, and people were renting them. So what the government did was, we'll take it. Government says, we're going to give you a way out. We're going to bail you out. It was a big bailout for real estate developers in the 70s and 80s, where the sponsor, which would be Trump, converted his rental building into cooperatives, which is a form of ownership. It's not a condo, it's a cooperative. 80% of the residential real estate in New York, 80% is cooperatives. They're not condominiums and they're not rental buildings. You own shares.
Right.
You own shares. And whoever has the most shares has the most power. And during that time, it was the sponsor who had the most shares, because he built it, and he's got to dump all these apartments now and sell them on the open market. Okay, so when you have sponsorship, you get to circumnavigate a lot of the rules that are a part of the co-op. For example, one of the ways you circumnavigate around the rules is you don't have to have a how do I say it? You don't have to go through an application process where what's your debt to income? Where did you get your money from? What do you do for a living? Do you have any references? What's your proper ID, your passport, your working papers, permanent residency card, all these type of things. So when you're the sponsor, you can just go out and sell that apartment now and circumnavigate all the rules. So what Trump did was pretty much a way of washing money through his casino business through condominiums and cooperatives. And that's kind of where this whole thing started, the Russia collusion, because the biggest project Trump's father built was Trump City. Trump City is this gargantuan, massive housing project just north of Coney Island called Brighton Beach. Brighton Beach happens to be the home of the largest Russian ethnic neighborhood, but they're not really Russian. They're in fact Jews. So when you hear a lot of this Russian collusion, you're actually talking about money that was washed out of the Soviet Union 30, 40 years ago.
From Jewish migrants.
From Russian Jewish migrants, yes.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
So there you go. That's basically That's basically gives you a bit of a bird's eye view on what this whole Russia collusion thing is actually about. Now, the KGB spies and all this other bullshit that the mainstream narrative is pushing out. Obviously not. But obviously they smell smoke, which happens to be his shady dealings over in Brooklyn and the Taj Mahal in Atlantic City. This is basically how that all came about.
Wow. Well, it's interesting that you brought that up because our main topic today with pornography is going to be littered with a lot of Jewish references. I don't know how YouTube's going to like that. Let's hope that
they're dropping you.
Yeah, let's just hope that they don't cut us out because we're talking about Jewish stuff. But also, I think you were mentioning something about a comment in the last video.
Oh, yeah, but that's just being biased. I mean, look, I give Trump his foreign policy outstanding, A+. The guy is absolutely on fire internationally. There's no doubt about it. He met with the leader of North Korea. We're not funding jihadists anymore. You don't hear anything about Syria. Okay, the world is in a much better shape internationally than it was under Obama, and that's 100%. That's a fact. That's an absolute fact right now. The world is doing great. People are getting along, right? I mean, I see people are much happier and in a much better mood than it was prior to me leaving in Cambodia. But as far as his domestic policy go, he's a disaster. I give him like a D plus, if that. Because he really hasn't done anything he promised. He cries about fake news, but hasn't done anything about the fake news. There's still no wall. And, again, the average Joe, yeah, he might be making more money, but the inflation is rampant. You don't see it, but it is a serious problem. And Wall Street, again, doing absolutely stellar. And it's at record highs every day. Record high this, record high that. Another Guinness Book of World Record broken on the S&P 500. So I don't see it really correlating to jobs. I don't see the government downsizing. Obviously, the far left, the feminists are still getting what they want. So he has done nothing to curtail that, and neither has his vice president. And nothing on the right has put a stop to it. No stoppage. Nothing.
Yeah. Well.
So the wall on the southern border of United States is not built up yet.
Nope.
No, he hasn't even begun.
Oh yeah.
Hasn't even begun.
Yeah.
He's halfway through his presidency and he hasn't even begun. So I don't know. That could be a killer for him next election, but we'll see. We had Greg Q says, "Bring me on to talk about New York Jewish stuff." Well, we might do that, Greg Q. We'll see, because that's.
You want to talk about the Jews? What do you mean? You think you want to be on this live stream?
Well, and again, segueing into our guest, Alan from Indonesia, and Lamprey already brought up the Jews, and here's a little interesting factoid, is that Indonesia, up until very recently, disallowed anyone holding an Israeli passport to come into the country, and I think that's finished now.
Sorry.
Indonesia.
Your passport.
Indonesia did not allow people holding Israeli passports to come into the country.
Yeah.
Is that still
because Indonesia doesn't have diplomatic relation with Israel.
Right. But
Hello?
I know.
Because of Palestinian issue.
Yes. The Indonesians don't like the Jewish state of Israel at all as a nation, and
Yes.
and I remember when I was first there, I found out that
Yeah.
if you held an Israeli passport, you couldn't even go into the country. That may have changed now,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure.
Great Q. Please give me a break. You think you know Jews in New York? You don't even know what you're talking about, buddy.
Well, let's.
I got great. I have hysterical stories I never shared with you with them. Oh my God! Can I go ahead and share one?
Yeah,
you want
sure.
to hear a great one, AM?
Go ahead.
Yes, sure.
Go ahead.
So I meet this. Do you know what Yelp is?
Yelp. What is it? Some kind of dating app?
No, it's for you can do reviews on restaurants and places you go and stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so it took off. I got on board with it really early on. I was one of the first persons yelping about New York and New York City, and I became somewhat of like a mini celebrity on the review site. Where if you gain enough subscribers, people like what you write, your blog and everything. It's like a wall that you write all the restaurants you go to. You get to be invited to all these really nice restaurants, and it's for free.
Right.
The Yelp sponsors it. Like, we really like your reviews. We want you to come and eat for free at this restaurant with a bunch of other Yelpers. So I go and I meet this Jewish girl, okay? She's really pretty. I thought she was fantastic, but she dressed like a complete slob. Her hair was a mess. Okay, she smelt a little bit. She was obviously a little bit of a yenta. I'm just saying, okay? So we go to this she goes, Nick, let's hang out. We're gonna go to we're gonna go review this really high end restaurant that's actually like a castle on the water in, a very hoity-toity neighborhood. Where, just the houses are all like $3-4 million. So I get dressed up and I look just fantastic because I know where we're going is like a really like high end location. So I decided to go and pick her up. So I go and pick her up, and she's dressed in a sweatshirt with like a yogurt stain on her sweatshirt and sweatpants, and her hair is a complete mess. And I'm like, oh my God, this fucking Jewish girl is killing me right now. Right? So I go, okay, fine. So I planned it out. That I'm just when we get there, I don't know who she is. We didn't come together. I'm just because it's going to be like there's like hundreds of people, so I want to keep my distance from this sloppy mess. Okay. So we get into the place together, and there's this like very long table of like knickknacks that you can bring home, like a goodie bag, okay? And it's you take one, they have pens and like hats and shirts and things like. And everyone that attended this event gets to take a little goodie bag home with all these little trinkets. She sees this. And now, mind you, she's a Jew. She sees her eyes lit up because it's something for free. Yo, she goes over to the table and no one's looking, and I'm watching her from a distance because again, I'm trying to keep I'm trying to stay away from her, and she starts biting her nails and looking at everything like a kid in a candy store, like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever I've ever seen, right? She opens her pocketbook at table level, and just her whole forearm just swipes fucking everything into her fucking pocketbook. Yeah. Oh my God, I was dying laughing so hard. I go, this girl, I cannot believe she just did that. Absolutely priceless and very typical.
Yeah. Very stereotypical. Very
stereotypical.
Oh man. Well,
actually, maybe in Indonesia, we don't hate Jewish people, we don't hate Jew, but we just cannot accept that Israel state because in our opinion, Israel right now is colonizing, occupying Palestinian land.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. That's a big talking point.
Indonesian people are not racist to Jews, no. But we don't accept Israel. That's it, actually.
Yeah. And that's a big talking point in Indonesia, actually. And so let's introduce our guest, Alan from Indonesia. And I found you on was it an MRA site or a MGTOW site on Facebook?
Sorry.
Alan, where did I meet you? Was it a MGTOW page on Facebook? Was it MGTOW?
I think in Facebook group, yeah, a league of extraordinary gentlemen, or I've joined many MGTOW group,
Right.
yeah.
And
So I think,
I wanted to kind of get.
but be, mm, uh, before joining MGTOW group in Facebook, I already seen your YouTube channel actually, yeah,
Oh, okay.
several times,
Great.
yeah,
That's great because,
uh,
I
good channel.
yeah, I wanted to. I wanted. Why don't you just introduce yourself? Say a little bit about your history, as much as you want to admit on
Ah,
live. It's up to you,
yeah.
and a little bit about
Yeah.
your opinions on MGTOW and
Mhm.
maybe men's rights when it comes to it in Indonesia.
Okay. Firstly, I want to introduce myself, and my name is Alan. I live in Jakarta, Indonesia. Actually, yeah, my personal opinion, I don't hate women. I don't hate girls. I don't hate female in general, but I experienced many bad experience with them, especially if I got close to them for dating or even to be a close friend. Uh, I I have not good experience, many of bad experience. So uh, like if we go actually the worst thing is not the women but men who gave advice to me about how to treat women.
So
Maybe in our language, maybe in our language, Mikaw language, it's called manjaina or white knights.
There you
That's
go. Yeah.
worse than women. I mean, worse than feminists actually. Feminist is very bad, but manjaina, white knight, much worse.
It's much
Because
worse. Absolutely, it is.
yeah. Ac- and as we know, the feminism is not strong without the support, without white knight support.
That's
Yeah,
right. Yeah, you
right,
know quite a bit
right.
about this.
well, that's
Yeah.
it's refreshing to hear
Mm,
hear that coming from you because you know me having lived there for quite
mm,
a long time, I did see the coming
mm.
of I saw the coming of feminism
Yeah,
into
yeah,
Indonesia.
yeah,
I was there to witness it because when I first arrived in
yeah.
2002, it was not that big. But in my
Uh,
stay,
uh,
during my 13-year stay in that country,
how is it? How is it?
I watched it slowly develop. I mean, I was there when they built that women's hospital. They have that woman and children's hospital not far from Kamang now. So that didn't exist when I
Oh yeah,
arrived.
in Ampera. Yeah, I know that. I
Yeah,
know that.
in
KMC.
yes,
Yeah.
in Ampera.
Yeah, actually, I feel a little bit discrimination about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's new. It's new.
yes.
Uh,
It was built. It
uh,
was built while I was there. So probably sometime I don't know 2008, 2009, 2010. But again, I imagine that it was
yeah,
built.
yeah.
I imagine it was built and funded after the Yogyakarta Accords when Obama showed up to push feminism and
Feminist
yeah,
agenda.
yeah, feminist agenda and sexual politics into the third, well, into the developing world of Southeast Asia.
Yeah. But actually, in in my experience and what I have seen in my country, the feminism is strong in Jakarta and big cities,
Yeah.
not in the small cities, not in the village. No, in the small cities and in the village, the traditional culture is still strong.
Hmm.
But they because the television, internet already came to the countryside, so they know they will they already know about. I mean they are influenced a little bit by feminism.
Hmm.
But it doesn't mean anything. But the problems are in Jakarta and big cities actually,
Oh yeah,
because it's more open. It's more open as you experience, yeah, Chris.
yeah.
It's more open, Jakarta. Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. And
yeah,
I mean, when you get into the big cities in Indonesia, Surabaya, Jakarta,
mm,
any of the big cities, the
yeah.
metropolitan centers,
Bandung.
yeah, Bandung.
Yeah, yeah.
That's when you
Mm,
have. There's obviously a lot more political influence in those cities because those are the centers of politics. So
yeah, yeah. Right.
so you're gonna see ideas of feminism, and I keep in touch with some women that I knew when I was living there. I still keep in touch with them over
Mhm.
Instagram and so on and so forth. And it's really sad.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of the,
How do you feel? Yeah.
well, it's sad because some of the students that I taught at Venus
Ah,
University,
yeah.
I still some of them I still am in contact with, and they're in their mid 20s, but I
Mm.
see them post a lot of very pro feminist stuff, and it's very sad. It's very sad to see that.
Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. In my Facebook, my friend from university of bachelor degree often post in their timelines the something that maybe pro feminist or pro genocentrism
Yeah,
or pro misandry. Yeah, I had to see that thing. I had to see those things.
yeah,
Sometimes I comment on them, but my comments never attack women. No, but only to keep balance. I mean, if they say men often have affair with, men often cheat their wives,
right.
often have affair to another woman.
Hmm.
I comment, yes, but women also do the same.
Oh God,
Women also have potential to do the same.
yeah,
Yeah. If yeah. Both can be evil, men and women. I just want to. I just want to know. No, no, sorry. I just want them to know. I just to press that both can be evil.
yeah,
Yeah. Don't just blame men.
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, me having lived there as an expatriate, a bule, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, me,
Yeah.
me being a bule, which is basically Indonesian for a Westerner, a white
Yes.
guy.
Yes.
Even though I'm not
Like
that,
that for me.
yeah, I'm not that white, but I still fall under the category of bule, because I'm an English-speaking
Mm.
Westerner. And
Uh,
having been a man there, I saw a lot of infidelity when it came to married Indonesian women. It was amazing the shit they would do if they thought they could
mm.
win the favor of some bule who they thought had money. So yeah,
Uh, yeah. Many. Unlike our neighboring country, Malaysia,
hmm
Malaysian women, maybe there are also Malaysian women married white or Western guy, Western man,
yeah,
but it's not that famous. But in Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, famous many Indonesian girls, just like Tiger. Uh, yeah, pay for the bullet.
yeah,
Maybe because the money, because this type of women are very materialistic.
yes, very,
Just like, just yeah, just like uh, my friend in the university. There's female a female friend of mine from my university. She married a white guy, white man, uh, because I think I don't know exactly the reason, but I think she married a white man because she wants to live in Kemang.
yeah. She wants money.
Yeah. In
Poor.
Kemang. To be honest, Kemang right now is a good elite area, and there are many foreign people, including Westerner,
Yeah.
white people. Yes.
Yeah. No,
I think, uh,
go ahead.
yeah, yeah. There are many materialistic women in Indonesia also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the nature of females. Is regardless of where you go, females tend to be very materialistic, and they measure men by their wealth before anything else.
Uh,
Like, you're obviously you're not married, right?
Actually, now I'm married
Oh,
because yeah, it's okay, no problem, no problem. But I'm married at very old age because very difficult to find a good woman.
oh yeah,
So that's why I love to share my bad experience to you guys in here.
yeah.
Yeah, it's okay, no problem.
Well, so how old
Sorry to hear that.
how old are you now, Alan?
40, 40.
Oh, you're 40. Okay, so
All
For,
right.
you're
Yeah.
a few years younger than
and
me.
I'm married.
How old is she?
My wife.
Yeah.
34.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, she's up there too, huh? Was she original?
Before marriage, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she probably,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure that she's very modest, I guess, you know?
Yes. Yes.
And are you,
Yeah. She's not from big city. She's not from Jakarta.
oh, she's a kampung girl.
So
Kampung?
yeah, middle.
Village.
Small city. Yeah. Small city.
Where?
Simple girl.
Where's she from?
Central Java.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
She's good. Yeah, there are still good women in Indonesia. So for my experience, the many girls from Jakarta, especially if everyone knows she has a good looking face, body shape, and she's well educated. You will be very difficult to
Yep, that's the
have
behavioral thing.
relationship with her.
yeah,
Yeah.
very difficult. I mean,
Mm.
if the more educated a woman is, like for example, like again, a lot of the women that I taught at university in Binus,
Mm.
they're very well
Yeah.
educated women, but that's where they get indoctrinated into kind of feminist ideas. You're almost better just
Nah, that is
finding
the
a girl.
negative thing. Yeah, that's the negative thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, actually, many education is now added. I mean, combined with feminist ideas.
That's right.
That's very bad.
Yeah, and it's
It-
really
education
bad
is
here.
Part of
still
the
good.
whole, moving to the urban centers, and we're going to get into the
Yeah.
behavioral think. We're going to do that next week, guys. In what he's discussing right now is how once women move into the urban centers, they become much more radicalized by the vanity,
Feminism.
materialism, consumerism, culture.
Right.
Obviously, you have a good
Yeah.
Wi-Fi connection when you're in Jakarta. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna have a better Wi-Fi connection in Jakarta for sure.
Right. So all those things play a huge factor. So versus a girl who lives in the countryside, she's not exposed to those type of things, and she's probably never
Yeah.
even seen a BMW or some other high-end luxury item.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Many. Yeah. You what you're saying is mostly right. Right. Maybe people living in the countryside, in the small cities or village, also exposed to modern things, but not as much as in the big cities. Not as much as Jakarta, New York, Bangkok.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Rico says educated women raise their price and it snowballs, and men will pay anything.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, that's the behavioral
yes,
side.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's what we call hypergamy. Um, I don't.
yes.
I've told this story before, Alan, but I'll tell it again to you to get your perspective. But
Mm,
when I worked at High Scope, the school in
mm,
Sumatupang,
mm.
there was
Smart punk.
yeah. At that point, I'd already been red pilled. I was MGTOW by that point. By the time I started working there, and I was divorced. I was living with my kid. My ex-wife had moved to Bali, and working at that school. Now it's a big school. Like there's maybe 3,000 students in it. It's very big, and a
Mm,
lot of female teachers. I think the ratio was probably 70-30 female to men as far as teachers went. And
mm.
I remember asking a lot. One day I asked the female teachers in the school because
Sorry.
yeah,
Sorry. Are they Indonesian female or foreign people?
mostly
The Western, I mean, the female teacher.
no, most of the female teachers were Indonesian. There was only like maybe one or two Western female teachers.
Oh,
The rest were
okay,
Indonesian,
okay.
and their English was good. And I remember asking them. I did a survey with a bunch of the female Indonesian teachers. I said, because a lot of them were not married yet. A lot of them were young, unmarried, and I remember asking them.
Mm,
If would you marry the security guard, if he's really handsome and good looking,
mm,
would you marry the security guard?
mm, mm.
And they said, no way. I would never marry a security guard.
Just because of the status.
Yeah,
Status.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, hypergamy is everywhere. It's universal. So these women, I'm like, well, why don't you? You're single. Look at these nice, young, handsome, fit security guards. Why don't you court one of them? Not a chance. Not a chance. They would never do that because they're making less money.
Yeah.
A woman will never
Less
marry
money.
down. Yeah, a woman will never marry down.
Yeah.
Very rarely will a woman
Yeah.
marry down. And so yeah, those kind of concepts are common everywhere you go. And
Yes. Mm.
have you, Alan? Have you shared your MGTOW opinions with other men that you know?
Uh, Only in the MGTOW groups in Facebook, but I sometimes talk to my mother,
Really?
my mother, and even my wife. Yeah, even my wife. Actually, my mother is has deep respect on my father, on man.
Yeah.
Sometimes my mother like Donald Trump become American president better than Hillary Clinton, better than Hillary.
Yeah.
Donald Trump. Yeah, he's strong. Yeah, he should be the president of America.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, not Hillary.
Yeah.
That's what my mother said.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Your mother's from the old generation. Women from that generation
Yes,
had a
yes.
lot more respect for men than they do now.
Yeah. Yeah, but actually, even my mother have opinion like that. She's actually a strong woman. I mean, she in the family, she's arranged the financial needs, and she built some property to be rent. Yes, she has power actually, but she respect men. She respect my father. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. And
I love my mom too.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
and another thing, because our main topic here is we're gonna get into porn here in a minute, but I wanna relate another story that I mentioned before we went live, and share it with the listeners. And you can chime in, Alan, because you were there when it happened as well. But when I was living in South Jakarta, this was before I was married, and I was staying at Wisma Subud, South Jakarta, and I don't remember the year. I don't remember the year now, but it must have been around 2004, 2005 maybe. And an office had opened up in Jakarta for Playboy magazine, and it was big news.
Yes.
It was big news because it never been in Indonesia before. This was Playboy magazine trying to reach out and extend their pornography enterprise into Southeast Asia. Again, Jakarta,
Yes.
Indonesia, very conservative culture. I was very shocked that they even got to open an office, but they did. They opened an office up.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Yes, but it was protested and demonstrated by some extremists.
Yes.
And the battle come to the court.
Yes.
I mean, the extremists filed complaint to the court to erase the Playboy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
But
a lot of the protesting was done by kind of these extreme Muslim groups, and the original office that they opened up, and I don't remember where it was, but the original office they opened up in Jakarta, a bunch of Muslim, I guess, quote unquote, extremists went down to the office and threw rocks at it and broke out all the windows.
Yes, right. Yeah. And the owner was taken by the police to the court to be tried. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But I didn't remember again how's the result. But yes, Playboy came to Indonesia with protests.
Yes.
Not all people, not all Indonesian people accept the Playboy, the pornography.
Yeah, well, it's good. I mean, Indonesia's still kind of fighting against that, but this is what I remember happened.
But actually, many Indonesian men, especially young men, love to see porn. Actually,
of course,
many of them see via internet, via gadget, from
mobile phone.
Yeah, just like in the Western society. Yeah,
absolutely.
But generally they are not honest. Yeah, they are not honest. Maybe in Western more honest. Yeah. Yeah, I like to see porn in Western. Yeah, but in Indonesia, they cover up. They cover it up.
Yeah,
they are ashamed.
It's a little more taboo. It's more taboo there, so people aren't going to be as
taboo. Yes.
Yeah, they're not going to be.
Okay, so let's get into the concept of pornography now. AM, how much do you consume?
How much porn do I consume? Right now, very little. But when I was in Indonesia, I wanted to get into that too, because when I was in Indonesia, after my wife had left me and I was living alone in my house for about a year, I started dating again. And I dated this Indonesian girl who was very sexual, I guess I should say. And so at that time in my life, pornography played a much bigger part, and that was in Indonesia. But it had a lot to do with the relationship I was in at the time, and that relationship didn't last long, So now in my modern life, I don't consume it very much at all, and I don't really have time for it. I'm not.
So you don't jerk off?
No, I jerk off occasionally. Absolutely.
All right. What do you use as a form of? What do you use? Just your imagination, previous fucks?
No, there's porn. Porn's easy. Porn's easy to access.
It's stimulating.
Porn's easy to access in the West. It's so easy. It's like,
yes.
I mean, anybody can access, and that's one of the bad parts about it is that, I mean, especially as a father now of a son who's going to be a teenager soon. I'm
he's gonna be watching a lot of porn.
Yeah, I'm worried about that shit because it's so easily accessible. Now, back in Indonesia, it was a little harder to access, but the websites are all there. Nothing was not.
But now, government already blocked many pornographic sites, especially from the West. Yeah, but local illegal porn website also been blocked.
Yes.
Jadi generally porn sites are blocked.
Yes, it's very. Yeah. When I was there, and I was consuming a lot more porn than I do now. It was a little bit easier, but A lot of sites
Mhm.
were blocked, and it was a lot harder to find. Definitely, a lot harder to
Yeah,
find.
yeah, yeah.
And
Now it is even harder now.
yeah, well, and
Even harder now.
yeah, I believe
Mm.
it. I believe it. It's even harder now. And going back to what we were talking about with Playboy there, I saw
Yeah.
you said you don't know what the outcome was, but what I know is that they, after the first office was smashed, they moved to another office
Mm.
which was very close to where I was living. It was Masubud. It was on Fatmawati. It was just up
The
on
the
Fatmawati.
the Wisma Subud also smashed.
No. It wasn't. The Wisma Subu wasn't smashed, but they moved the office, the Playboy office, close to where I was living.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
They
yeah, yeah,
moved it
yeah.
close, but they ended up getting shut down, but not before they published one issue. I bet you that issue right now is probably worth a lot of money.
They
'Cause-
squeezed
Huh?
one out.
Yeah, they
They
squeezed one issue out.
squeezed one out.
They squeezed one issue out, and then they got shut down. And I saw one of my neighbors at Wisma Subud had a copy of it, right? So I was like, I want to see what, because it was huge news. It was a big controversy. It was very taboo. So I'm like, I want to see this Indonesian
Yeah.
Playboy magazine. So I opened it. He had it. I looked through it. Not a single fucking, not even a single tit. Not a single tit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I knew that. I mean, if some censorship in
Mhm.
Indonesia is still common.
Yes.
Censorship is still common.
Yeah. There was all the
Yeah.
models. All
You
the
know, you
Go ahead.
uh, uh, I s- uh, I still remember back in very long time ago in 1995.
Hmm.
You know Megadeth, the rock band from United States, Megadeth.
Yeah, Megadeth. Oh yeah.
Uh, they issued album Euthanasia.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know that
Yep.
Euthanasia has an old woman hanging many babies on the jemuran. Uh,
On a
what's
like a
the
clothesline. A
yeah,
clothesline.
yeah,
Yeah.
crocodile, but not clothes, but babies
Babies. Yeah.
hanging. That's on the original. But when that Megadeth album came to Indonesia, it's completely black.
Yeah. They covered it up.
No, yeah, yeah, censor, yeah. So censorship like that is still common. So Playboy, I knew that Playboy magazine in Indonesia not as vulgar as in the West,
No.
but still, yeah, still the Indonesian people, including that extremists, still still perceive it is dangerous. So I mean, we 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 including the extremists prevent uh, prevent very careful.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
the Playboy magazine, that the one they issued,
uh,
they were all local models. They were all Indonesian women, but there wasn't any nudity.
yeah.
There was no nudity. It was all lingerie, bathing suits, and skimpy clothes. Not a single tit,
Yeah.
not a single vagina, no full frontal nudity,
Yeah.
nothing. Not a
Unlike in the West, yeah.
yeah,
Not like in the West. Yeah.
no.
Or
But
Japan.
but the image of Playboy magazine in Indonesian people already knew before the coming of the magazine to Indonesia.
Yeah.
They already knew the name of the magazine,
Yes.
and they knew that it was porn magazine.
Yeah.
It's contains nudity and adultery, sexual image, sexual photographs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's on the mind of Indonesian people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was the name that failed it. In the end of the story is
Mm.
they failed. Playboy failed to try and find a market in very conservative Indonesia, and it's gone now. Now,
Yeah.
let's now, Lamprey, you wanted to get into our topic, into the meat of our topic of porn. Where did you want to start?
Well, I guess just our experience with porn.
Right.
Do you,
We
do
were-
you, you know, whatever that might be. I don't really know what your stance is on porn. I think there's a lot of male hatred when it comes to porn. I don't think people realize why men use it as an outlet. You know, married men use it as an outlet. I think I would imagine at least 80 to 90% of the American male population watches porn at least once or twice a week, once every week or 2 weeks at a minimum.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Rico asked question: is it a choice we made, or are we just less horny and then thus less interested in porn? Possibly, but like I said, my Lamprey asked me about my personal porn consumption, and that's gone way down after I left Indonesia when I was dating this woman there. That was kind of the peak of it. And
let's not talk about you as you were watching it with a woman. I'm talking about you when you're home alone and you're floating the internet like every other guy. Are you watching porn? That's what Rico's asking.
Right, and it's a lot less now than it was before. Absolutely. And I don't know.
Okay, so you don't watch pornography.
I do, but not very often. I mean, I just don't have the time, and I'm raising a kid on my own, so it's not like it just.
It's not wise to waste your time on just porn.
Yeah.
On drugs, not wise, right?
And if I was single without a child, maybe I would consume it more. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So the circumstances for me are a little bit different than your average single man, who might be And I'm sure a lot of married men are consuming it, but I doubt they're consuming it as much as a single man, who doesn't have kids. So I mean, what about you, Alan? I mean, do you see porn there? Do you spend any time looking at porn in Indonesia there?
Not really. No, I mean, just if YouTube, if for example, YouTube present several video on maybe sexual title or image of nudity, naked women. I just click on that, and then if I just sometimes click on that and then I forgot about it, but I never buy I mean maybe DVD on pornographic film. No, never.
Yeah, because
many of my friends do that. Many of my friends do that.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
So, look, Lamprey, you sent me a video to kind of research for this live stream, and it was called "The Jewish Role in the Porn Industry."
Well, but before you do that, I just pulled up an article here. Okay, it's called "Porn: The New Weapon of Choice," and this was from March 31st, 2002. Ramallah, West Bank. Porn movies and programs in Hebrew are being broadcast by Israeli troops who have taken over 3 Palestinian television stations of Ramallah. Irrit residents of the besieged West Bank town said on Saturday. The offices of 3 local television and radio stations were occupied by soldiers on Friday morning, a few hours after tanks and hundreds of troops stormed the town in Israel's biggest offensive against the Palestinian Authority leader Yasser Arafat and its leader Yasser Arafat. The soldiers started broadcasting porn clips considered extremely offensive by most Muslims. Intermediately on Saturday afternoon from the Al-Watan, Amwa, and Al-Sharak channels, the residents said. The pornographic movies started on Alawa television around 3:30, 134, old Palestinian mother said. I have 6 children at home. They have nowhere to go with what is going on here, and we can't even watch TV. It's not really healthy. I don't think it's good. It messes with the young people's head. So during the fatwa, it wasn't a fatwa being issued. It was something. Forgot what it's called, but it was an intifada. You know what intifada is? The 02 intifada between the Palestinians and the Israelis.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay, so basically, what was taking place is that the Jews were pumping the Palestinians full of pornography while they couldn't leave the house because they would get shot. If they left the house, they would get shot. So they were stuck inside. And the only way they were able to get information is through TV and radio. So when they switched onto the TV, all they saw was pornography as a way of mind controlling the men. And this isn't the first time that this is taking place. This took place in Panama during Noriega when the CIA led a coup. And they pumped the TV and pumped the TV airwaves, the radio, not the radio, but the mass media, the broadcasting, full of pornography.
Yeah.
To keep the men distracted.
Well,
a form of psychological warfare.
Yeah. Porn is used as this form of psychological warfare.
Yeah. Pornography is used to demoralize the mental of the enemy, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And
And I think the Indonesian government probably knows that quite well, which is one of the reasons why they try to keep it out. Meanwhile, over here in the West, it's everywhere, and
you're being saturated in it.
Yes.
Oh my God! Yeah. Okay, let me add something. To my opinion, pornography and prostitution are both, in my opinion, demoralize mentality, and it weaken. It can make men weak actually.
Yes.
Without we realize it make us weak.
Yes, absolutely.
It makes you physically. It makes you weaker physically. Try go to the gym after jerking off. Good luck with that, guys. You're not going to be benching nearly as much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, on a side note, this is a little story about Sukarno, the first president of Indonesia. When he was in Moscow, the CIA tried to blackmail him by setting him up with Russian prostitutes, and they videotaped it. So they wanted to use it as blackmail against him. So after he was with these Russian prostitutes and it had been secretly videotaped, the Secret Service at the time approached him and said, "Look, we've got video of you now having sex with these Russian prostitutes." You know what Sukarno said? He said, "Really? Can I have a copy of it to bring it home?" It's fantastic. Their blackmail utterly failed on Sukarno. Absolutely utterly failed.
Yeah.
But I mean, I want to get into
on that time. Sukarno was pro-Soviet.
That's right. He was
pro-Soviet Union. Yeah.
They were. I mean, that leads into the history of Indonesia. But we want to get into the effects of pornography as we've discussed. It is demoralizing. It doesn't really long exposure has real measurable bad effects on the mind of both men and women, and eventually it affects the family.
Yes.
But I want to kind of mention a little bit about because again, the video that Lamprey sent me was the Jewish role in the porn industry, and you've just mentioned about how they've used it as a weapon. And yes, it has
against Palestinians.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But even before that, I wanted to bring up the fact, and I just want to touch on it here as a part of the history that most people don't know about when it comes to pornography. Going back to Germany pre-World War II, one of the main platforms that Hitler ran on with his nationalist social party.
Nazi.
Yes, his Nazi party. One of the platforms he ran on was to eliminate the influence of Jewish pornography in Germany and how it was affecting Germanic culture. The Jews at the time in Germany were the pioneers of the pornographic industry in that country. They had cinemas opened up. There was, it'd be like going to Amsterdam today, live sex shows, all that kind of stuff, a lot of debauchery. And that was one of the main platforms he ran on. It was like, I'm going to get rid of all these Jews making porn and destroying our culture. So that's a little bit of the historical roots when it comes to the effect of Jewish pornography and
Pornography.
how it shapes history, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's modern history. I mean, like the TV's only been out for what? Not that long at all.
Basically,
Especially
since
TV in your house.
yeah,
And a
basically since
computer
World
is
War
what?
II. Yeah,
I mean, you got streaming porn is not even 10 years old yet.
yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, this is a very this is very new. What ethnicity were the porn stars? Israeli? Well, in fact, Rico, many popular porn stars are in fact Jewish. Not many
Yes.
people know that.
Yeah, and we'll get into that because I've got some articles pulled
I mean,
up.
I can name four actually Jewish female porn stars
Yeah.
that are very popular. So I mean, this is it's obviously controlled, and we're gonna get into it. But look, part of MGTOW, and I'm sure most MGTOW and its its genres, subgroups, different categories, men's rights, incels, um, all these different type of groups. Everyone here watches pornography, and some guys have a better threshold for it. Some guys become completely addicted to it. Pornography, as Sam Vatkin puts it, the porn addicted hermit.
Yeah.
Okay, this is, what Sam stated was that it is a form of sex. It really truly is. I mean, you're ejaculating. Okay, therefore, this is, even though you're not actually having sex, it is a form of sex, really.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So and it skyrockets as you get older. For many, it's just that's the only sexual outlet they have.
Yeah. Okay. Look. Our guest Alan is gonna have to leave now. But it was good to have you on, man. It was good to have you
Yep.
on.
Yeah, thank you so much. And
Yeah, it was
next
great.
time, I would like to come again if I am invited.
Definitely.
Please.
Definitely,
you.
man. Definitely.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
got some return guests. So definitely you'll be able to come on again. It was good to get your opinion on these things coming from Indonesia. I appreciate you.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate you sticking through it. Your English.
Thank you very much.
Your English is really good. I know it's. I know it's.
Thank you so much.
I know it's tough. Having a conversation in a second language. It's not easy, man. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I'm trying to improve my English also.
Great.
No, you're coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
Yeah.
Don't be a mangina, okay?
No. I and my wife balance. Try to keep the balance. Not I worship her. No. I don't worship her.
Yeah.
I worship God.
Absolutely. You worship
Yeah.
God, not a woman. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, cheers.
Okay.
Take it easy.
Yeah, okay. See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So just getting back onto what we were talking with the porn. Now, again, when you sent me that video, I started that as kind of a platform to do a bit of research because the guy was very well sourced in his video. And if you guys want to see the video, I did put a link in the low bar of the live chat. It should be there. I think it's the first one under sources. So you can check the video out. And again, it's called the Jewish Role in the Porn Industry. And I kind of went through it. And the way that he starts off is kind of talking a little bit about the effects, which was what we were discussing just now. What we discussed it as being weaponized, using in times of warfare, to be debilitating to their so-called enemy, but also
It's a total distraction.
Absolutely, it's a total distraction, and physically we can get into a lot of the physical effects. But I kind of want to go into another effect that is sort of not talked about as much to lead into it, and one of them is what porn does is it demoralizes paternity, and it undermines family and the patriarchy. Because what ends up happening, and this is an observation of my own that I've made, and I suppose it's a kind of hypothesis of mine, is the fact that everybody knows that the concept of cuckolding has become more and more popular. In the media, in social media, in pornographic films, etc.
Movies, yep.
Movies, the concept of cuckolding has become more and more popular. And I believe, my hypothesis is that when you're talking about pornography, and nowadays, especially in the West, so a man, whether he's single or he's not, and he's alone and he's jerking off to get that satisfaction, the one thing you have to remember is that the release, the orgasmic release, is hugely influential on the mind. And it's completely Pavlovian. So when you're jerking off to porn, your mind is relating to this incredible rush of endorphins from an orgasm, and you're relating that rush to what you're observing at the time. So you're conditioning yourself. And because the very nature of porn itself is very gynocentric. If you watch, I don't care what kind of porn you watch, the focus is on the woman. It's always on the woman. The men are almost invisible. The men are a faceless penis, basically. And
that's right.
So what you're seeing is a woman being satisfied, and her pleasure becomes the focus of your release. So what you're doing is, through that rush of endorphins, through the release of orgasm, you're conditioning your mind to relate the pleasure of a woman to that release. And so I believe a lot of these young men that are jerking off to porn are conditioning themselves, because porn is voyeurism. That's all it is. You're watching other people fuck. That's voyeurism. And because porn focuses on the woman, it's very gynocentric. It focuses on just the woman. They don't care about the man's satisfaction. It's the woman's. And because of that, a lot of men are conditioning themselves to relate that release to a woman's pleasure and not to their own. And I believe that this is sort of where the concept of cuckolding is coming from, because a lot of these men are relating this endorphin release to the pleasure of a woman. And so now you see a lot of these, I've seen a lot of articles written and mentioned in social media of men who are like letting their women they're allowing themselves to be cuckolded. It's fucking insane. And it goes against, it's such a powerful thing, this orgasm, and the sort of Pavlovian response to it. It's so powerful that it's undermining the natural biological drive of a man to have paternity. In other words, knowing it's his kid. And that's
maybe that's I never thought of it like that. Sure.
It's I mean, again, this is kind of
well, look what Greg just stated about how. Did you read his comment about he was banging his boss's wife? So the husband didn't care, because he was going out getting his jollies off, and the boss pawned the wife off onto his coworker.
Wow. Well,
boom.
Yeah, absolutely. MGTOW Warrior's in. How's it going, buddy? Good to see you. But yeah, and this is the thing. And this is a little bit of a side. I'm going kind of off to the side here, but the concept of paternity is what built society. Guaranteed paternity, because biologically the difference between men and women, the biggest difference is that maternity is guaranteed. Every woman shoots a child out of their vagina. They know it's theirs. It's theirs. It's a biological fact. You can't change it. Maternity, since the time that man was created, has always been guaranteed. Paternity, on the other hand, has not. There is always doubt that the man is actually the father of that child. And that's biological fact. So marriage, in a sense, was a way to guarantee paternity for men, so that they knew it was their child, which meant that men had a dog in the fight when it came to reproduction. And now that they had a dog in the fight, men were willing to sacrifice for the children they knew was theirs. And that built nations. It built industry. It created everything we see today. And cuckolding is the absolute opposite of that. It completely undermines paternity.
Well, the cucking is one where if you want to talk about cucking, it's not really. I mean, that's part of pornography.
Yeah, it's just part of it.
Absolutely, it's part of it. But yes, you are 100% right. There is much more cuckoldry taking place within pornography. I mean, if we look at the history of porn, old porn's had a storyline. The women didn't shave their vaginas. The guys look like average Joe. There's none of this somatic narcissism with it. There was none of this like my body's got to be perfect. I need to have a chiseled six pack, and the guy's on steroids, and she has big fake boobs. The porn was pretty much more natural looking.
Yeah.
There was a funny storyline with it. Some people actually enjoyed the storylines. If you watch an old porno from like the late 70s, early 80s, it was like a 2-hour video and there's only like 2 sex scenes in it.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Now it's just straight into it. And going to the cuckoldry thing is that it's always having sex with the teacher, right?
Yeah.
That's another popular one where it's the sex teacher and she's going to teach you a lesson. I'm going to show you and dominate over one of my students, right? That seems to be popular. If you look at the mantras, the milieu, of the porn industry today, it's a lot of somatic narcissism. It's a lot of, again, they look like Barbie dolls.
Mm-hmm.
You look at, the 2 most popular websites, Brazzers and I think Bang Bros. Bang Bros didn't have like the glamour porn. The glamour porn is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about her. It's so gynocentric. It makes me want to vomit.
Oh, yeah.
It's like this. It's got to be by a swimming pool in Santorini. Always got to be near a swimming pool in some, tropical place with palm trees. Just unrealistic places. Miami Beach. So again, it's all about her, and it's more worshiping her versus what it was 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Today's pornography is mostly about just the cosmopolitan. Again, she's showered in diamonds. It's all about her worshiping her, and the guy
Yes.
is no face, nothing, with a bunch of Born to Lose tattoos all over his body.
That's right. He's the man's a faceless penis, and again, this, I believe, this is an effect, a negative effect of pornography on society. It promotes cuckolding, it promotes women worship, gynocentrism, and it relates that to orgasm in a man. It's very brainwashing and very demoralizing. That's just one effect. The video that you sent me, he went into other effects on the brain, and I don't know too much about this. I haven't done too much research on it, but in the video he said that it affects the prefrontal lobe of the brain, and they've done tests on this apparently. And by viewing porn over and over, it reshapes those areas of the brain. You're firing neurons in a different way. He called it hypofrontality. That's what he called it. And he said that the same effect is observed and has been observed scientifically in schizophrenics and drug addicts. So
Absolutely.
So geez, I mean, if that's true, then a person that consumes too much porn is basically showing the same brain patterns as a fucking schizophrenic, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. The last month or so, I've been watching way more pornography than I'm used to. I don't know why. Usually, I watch porn, but I usually have it under control. But I know it's damaging, and I know not to watch too much of it. But as of late, I've been watching more of it. Don't know if it's something biological in me, whether it's my mind changing, or perhaps because I haven't had a fuck in almost a year now.
Yep.
So all these things somewhat of a factor.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're really getting laid from a hot piece of tail, your porn rate's going to be almost bare nothing. You're not gonna really consume it. The other thing I found fascinating about pornography, and they did a study on this, is that why do you want to watch pornography again as soon as you're done watching it, and why do you want to watch a different video as soon as you're done ejaculating?
Right.
And it has to do with biology. Is that you're trying to reproduce with as many different women as possible.
Yeah.
That's why you don't want to watch the same porno again.
Yeah, it could be.
I thought that was very fascinating.
Well, it also relates to kind of the addiction part of it. You need more and more, like a drug. It's not.
Hmm.
It's one isn't enough. You know what I mean? And you build up a dependency and sort of like a drug user. He'll take one hit once and it's enough, but the next time it's not. He needs a second, and the next time he needs a third. So it's
And that's how you wind up, having, fucking a gig of, how many gigabytes of pornography saved onto, have an external hard drive full of porn.
right.
I know so many guys that do that. They have external hard drives full of it.
Yeah.
Fucking a terabyte's worth. Crazy amounts.
Yeah. Yeah. They just keep getting more and more, and I mean, it's the effect of it is negative. It's known. It's been studied. But again, when it comes to porn, I mean, we were talking to Alan. In a place like Indonesia, it's a lot harder to find. It's a lot more taboo. Here, it's mainstream. For Christ's sake, porn stars are fucking celebrities now. You'll see it on billboards. For Christ's sake, ads for porn on billboards.
How about Stormy Daniels?
Right, there you go.
And here's something fascinating for everyone out there. Why are they using her porn star name, the mainstream media?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Well, because
What's up with that?
everybody knows that name.
Guys do.
They're
And then she's a celebrity. She's a pornography celebrity
Yeah.
who's cut through mainstream. She's not a no-name character anymore. Now she's on the front cover of the New York Times. And she's a porn star embroiled in political nonsense, political scandals. Can you imagine? This is how much you've fallen as a nation.
Yes, absolutely. And
who's doing it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's we want to get into that as well. Is like, where does it come from? And we mentioned it. It's pornography is a Jewish tradition almost in America. the pioneers of the industry. It's the little Hollywood. I think it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Dude, some of those websites are bigger than YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I remember I heard a story once that because of all the censorship that's been going on YouTube, that Pornhub was offering live streaming for people that wanted to leave YouTube. If you didn't want,
that's great.
Yeah,
there's gonna be MGTOW channels on Pornhub.
Streaming on Pornhub. Yeah.
Wait. Yo, hey, what's that show where there's the robots, and as punishment they gotta they gotta do reviews on really bad TV shows, movies.
Oh, Mystery Theater 3000.
Right, so we'll do a mystery. What is it?
Mystery Theater 3000, I believe it's called.
We'll do a Mystery Theater 3000 MGTOW on Pornhub.
Absolutely. And if it's on Pornhub, you could live stream porn. You could live stream porn, and nobody would care.
We'll live stream our chats on Pornhub, and we'll be toasting and roasting really shitty pornos for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things I wanted to kind of bring up too, before we really get into the Jewish thing, is that in that video, I paid, and you sent me an article too that I want to bring up now as well. The guy that made that video that I've linked, he actually is an author of a book called The Fall of Western Man, I think. I haven't read it, but it's been reviewed by...
we gotta get it.
And it was reviewed. It was reviewed by David Duke, actually. So, pretty interesting stuff. But in the video, he said something that I had to disagree with, and that was he was saying that you see a lot of all the porn stars, they find very, very beautiful women to be in these porn stars, and I have to disagree. These women aren't beautiful naturally. They're wearing it's the magic of makeup. It's the magic of makeup. And I wanted to kind of just share with the viewers here an article that I saw a while ago, but I wanted to bring it up today, and it's a Huffington Post article, actually. And it is basically a side-by-side look at porn stars with and without makeup. Have you seen this?
Yeah. I know of it.
So I'm going to share the screen so the viewers can look at it. I I think I linked the article too in the low bar. But so here, porn stars without makeup. In the top corner you see the woman without makeup and then with it. And without makeup she doesn't look good, man. She doesn't look good at all.
They're very average looking women.
Yes. Very average looking women. I'm just flipping. Look at this one. She's horrible. Absolutely horrid. Of course, again, this is just kind of getting into the magic of makeup and how women are basically liars. But if you flip through this, guys, and look at some of these women, I don't really know any of these women by their porn star names, but it's very tragic how horrible some of these women look.
Did you ever see porn stars read mean tweets?
I know mean tweets. I don't know if I saw the porn star one though.
It's hysterical. It's so funny. It's very funny.
Oh, I imagine. But this.
Well, yeah. Okay, so let's rewind here. Okay, so now Aim's talking about how ugly some of these porn stars are. Most porn stars are actually tremendous women. They're over 5'9". They're like $160, $170. Okay, and what's quite fascinating is the disparity, the dichotomy between what a supermodel is and what a porn star is. You see how much of a difference, the disparity between the two. And what guys want to jerk off to is not fucking tiny ass women. Guys want to have sex with these fucking behemoth fucking linebacker chicks. They're huge, dude. The most popular porn stars are tremendous women. Like they can like you don't want that on top of you. Like that's how big some of these chicks really are, and you can't really tell when you're looking it through a lens. You don't notice it. If you actually meet these porn stars, they're in fact very big women. The other fascinating thing about it is how none of them, the most popular porn stars, have absolutely no tattoos. Nothing. Guys do not find tattoos attractive on women. Okay, that's another fascinating aspect. And going back to what I was just saying about the differences between supermodels and porn stars is that this goes to Dave Sims' tangent, is that the model industry is run by homosexuals. Right. And the homosexuals starve the women. They starve the women. Yeah. Okay. That's really why you see such skinny ass women as supermodels. Like, and then women use it as a way of looking down at men, yelling at men for being such a misogynist, for liking women that are starved skinny. That's not true. That's your homosexuals that starve them, not guys. Now, I tell you what, I dated a woman who was a size 0 for a good portion of my life, and I hated it. I hated how skinny she was. It was horrible. She wouldn't eat anything. You know, taking her out to dinner was a chore. As soon as we broke up and I dumped her, I dated a fat girl who shoved pulled pork in her face, and it was a turn on. It was such a turn on watching her fucking eat, man.
Well, the reason I brought that up, is because it goes back to the concept of pornography being very gynocentric. And the guy that made that video made some very good points, but then it always falls back. He's still blue-pilled to the point where he feels sorry for these porn stars, and saying, "Oh, poor them. Their lives are." Nobody put a gun to these women's head and said, "You have to do pornography." You know, nobody put a gun to their head. But again, it's the gynocentric concept. It translates into porn. Men are looking at their faces. They feel sorry for these women. A lot of them are quite homely without their makeup on. But it's I don't feel sorry for these women at all. None.
They made the choice.
Absolutely. I mean, you sent me that article.
Well, do we have that? Do you have that article?
The former porn star story.
Do you have it?
Yeah, I got it. So it stars out her name. I think I put this one in the links too, possibly, guys. But Lamprey sent me this article, and again, this is the whole mangina, white knight, blue-pilled mindset of pornography, which I believe leads into cuckolding as well. Is that we have to feel sorry for this. And this the story that you sent me, former porn star MJS. They don't say.
Jesse Summers.
Oh, is that who it is? Jesse Summers. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know who Jesse Summers is, but my young life was chaotic. I had an alcoholic mother, and guess what? No father.
Single mom.
Single
no father.
fucking
Yep.
mom. No father.
Sexually abused by the stepfather.
Yeah, probably. She said she was sexually abused first time at 4 years. Again, probably by the stepfather. She lost her virginity at 12. Who was 3 years older than her. Became pregnant. Had my first abortion.
A shit show. She's a walking shit show.
Yeah, a walking shit show. Which I believe probably a lot of these porn stars are. I mean, they probably don't have fathers. You know?
Yeah, her story. I actually think that's seems to be the most plausible, likely scenario for a lot of these porn stars. And you know what I find very fascinating about porn stars is a lot of them look pretty damn guilty when they're doing the pornos. Like they're like, I don't really want to be here. You know, like it's kind of they're very. Listen, porn stars are on a different playing field. You want to talk about Instagram models and all that other bullshit? Porn stars, they have to change their names when they retire. They have to live in some obscure location like in Wyoming or something, so no one knows who the fuck they are. You know, they have to hide their faces because they know millions of guys have jerked off to them.
Yeah.
It's got to be a horrible life. When they step down. When they retire.
Well, these women that are getting into porn, you dangle enough money into a broken woman, they're gonna go for it, man. Which is why I don't feel sorry for them. And they make female porn stars make what 5 times that of a guy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more money, man. So again, that's just sort of the gynocentric aspect of porn. Do you remember when I had that heated debate with Jenna Jameson on Twitter? And it got me like
Yep, that was funny.
It got me like a 3-day suspension because she was trying to promote how she was a strong single mother, and she wanted, I don't know, she was promoting some kind of mother group, and it was just like, no, man, you don't get to do that shit. You know, come on, filthy rich too.
Right? Yeah, have no shame.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have no. So how do we go from women in headscarves to twerking their asses on Instagram and pornography? How do we get that far in 40 years? Can someone tell me?
Yeah, it was the Jewish porn industry, man.
Did it start? Do you know when it started?
Say it again.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know when it started?
What, the film industry, the porn industry?
Porn industry.
Probably 60s, 70s.
Well, originally the Catholic Church had the moral upper hand in the 50s and early 60s. They controlled the production code that, out of Hollywood, out of California, and the Jews kept pushing and pushing it, and then eventually they finally got their way by showing a Holocaust movie. A Holocaust movie. A woman was naked in a Holocaust movie called The Pawn Broker. So again, they use the Holocaust as a way of showing how terrible things are. Look, women have to get naked on TV. Yeah. You know, it's like, let me show you. So they use this guilt trip to push their narrative. To push the nudity onto television with a movie called The Pawn Broker.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then they never let go ever since.
Well, one of the articles that the guy that made that video you sent me sourced was on the Jewish Quarterly, and they eventually the Jewish Quarterly took it down, but it was titled "Triple Ethnics: Jews Play a Disproportionate Role in the American Porn Industry." And it starts off by saying Jewish activity in the porn industry divides into 2, sometimes overlapping groups, pornographers and performers. Though Jews make up only 2% of the American population, they have been prominent in pornography. Many erotica dealers in the book trade between 1890 and 1940 were immigrant Jews of German origin.
Boom.
Hitler kicked them out, and they all came here to do their porn because Hitler wouldn't have anything to do with it. It says Jews were prominent in the distribution of Gallantiana fiction on erotic themes in books, avant-garde sexually explicit novels, sex pulps, sexology, and flagitious materials. So that's basically, if in a nutshell, basically, the Jewish pornographers of pre-World War II Germany came here and started the industry.
And that's where we are today.
Oh yeah.
That brings us here. This brings us to this live stream. So, I personally think that the plethora of pornography that is easily, easier than ever to be downloaded. Again, you can stream it. You can stream it and download it. Okay, these videos, these porn stars, this costs money. Doing these type of shoots, it's not an easy thing. It's a lot of them are in fact acting. They don't want to do it. It's just a job. So where is this money coming from? If people keep downloading it for free, who's paying the salaries and the productions for all this for this to go on?
Well, they're making a lot of money. I mean, it's multi-billion-dollar industry. So if you're watching it for free, I don't know how many people pay for it. That'd be interesting to find out. Is like who's
how much
for
money?
It? Yeah,
I think it's being subsidized.
Possibly, yeah. But I mean, they obviously make money through sales as well and consumption, because they're making billions of dollars a year, man. In the article, it says. Jews, when they found themselves excluded from a field of endeavor, turned to a profession in which they sensed they could eventually thrive by cooperating with colleagues in a community of effort. Jews have for a very long time cultivated the temperament and talents of middlemen, and they're proud of these abilities. And they became involved in the industry for much of the same reasons as their co-religionists became involved in Hollywood. They were attracted to an industry primarily because it admitted them. Its newness meant that restrictive barriers had not yet been erected, as they had in so many other areas of American life. In porn, there was no discrimination against Jews. And, of course, the money.
Subversion.
Yeah. And it says the adult entertainment business required something that the Jews possessed in abundance. Chutzpah.
They got a lot of chutzpah.
They got a lot of chutzpah. Because, I mean, to get involved in that kind of industry, shit, man. And the Jews in the porn industry, they're secular Jews. They're not religious. There's a lot of kind of anti-religious sentiments in the porn industry and the Jews that run it. And they definitely don't like the Christian concept in America. And
no, they don't.
No. Here's some of the porn stars that are Jewish. Ron Jeremy, James Dean, Nina Hartley, Joanna Angel, Michael Lucas, Naomi, Seymour Butts. Holy fuck, man. But it's amazing if you see some of the quotes from these people. Even some of the producers, the original producers of the porn industry in America, very anti-religious. Very, very anti-religious. Anti-Christian. Incredible.
Well, read some of them for us.
Here's one from Al Goldstein, the publisher of Screw. He said on Luke4.net, the only reason that Jews are in pornography is that we think that Christ sucks. Catholicism sucks. We don't believe in authoritarianism. Pornography thus becomes a way of defiling Christian culture. So that's again, going back to it as a weapon. Pornography as a psychological weapon, man. It does a lot of damage to.
Well, do you have the James Dean quote? James Dean quote was probably the best.
Where is the James Dean quote? Luke. Okay, here's one from Luke Ford. Porn is just one expression of the rebellion against standards, against the disciplined life of obedience to Torah that marks a Jew living Judaism. I mean, they're even against their own.
No, that's lovely.
The whole.
So atheist Jews, basically.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, and a lot of the in the original, the kind of the birthing of the industry, a lot of the female stars they got. There were a lot of female Jewish stars, but they tended to kind of get a lot of the nice Catholic American girls.
The guys.
Yeah, the guys. Just to kind of stick it to the American Christians.
Well, they're sticking it to you in many different ways too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No.
So yes. So the question is what can you do as a MGTOW man? I mean, again, if the women feign no interest at you whatsoever, is it so wrong to watch pornography if that's the way the average woman treats you? That's the bigger question. And the other question is how much, if pornography and sex is so cheap, is it really, it becomes a joke. It becomes recreational. It's not about procreating more.
Yeah. No, it is. It becomes sort of, it becomes a habit. Absolutely. And interesting, the idea that porn is so it's proliferate in the American culture. Even some of these Jewish pornographers call it part of Americana, part of American culture. But there's an article in the Independent that says all porn sites to be blocked in Israel under new law that requires people to publicly ask for access. And that was a couple of years ago. So even their homeland doesn't allow porn, as much free access to porn to its public as it does over here. So the Israelis might be using it as a weapon against the Palestinians, but they certainly aren't allowing their own population to get inundated with it because they understand the detriment of it. They know what it does.
Well, what's the detriment? Again, what are guys supposed to do? Are guys supposed to be the aggressors? And I understand. The question is, do women even approach men? Like the concept is that it's supposed to be a guy that approaches women. Well, if women again feign no interest, I'm going to resort to other sexual outlets such as pornography.
Right. Well, and I suppose if you get into that, you're talking about. I mean, again, if we're talking men's issues in MGTOW, yeah, there's a lot of men, especially in the MGTOW circles, in the red pill circles, they don't have an outlet. Porn becomes an easy outlet for them, and I think that's a danger that MGTOW men have to watch out for.
Okay, but now what about what the TradCon's argument is that you should take pornography away from men? I don't know how much of a change that would make. I actually think rapes would go up.
It's possible. I mean, this is the thing. It's so inundated into the everyday life of the Western culture now that you can't really eliminate it. But there are ways to kind of minimize it. I mean, a lot of it really in the end, guys, it comes down to your own self-discipline. Because nobody else is going to look after you. Government's not going to look after you. Women aren't going to give a shit about you. It comes down to self-discipline. And I mentioned that article about them blocking sites in Israel. What they've done now is that the porn is there, but it's not. You have to opt into it. You don't need to opt out. You have to opt in. So if you have an internet connection and you want porn, you have to call them up and say, "I want my porn." That option doesn't exist here. So that's something I think would be, and as a father, I really like that idea because I don't want it to be so accessible to my son.
Well, there's not much you can do or ways of getting around it.
No, there isn't. That's just something you got to do.
I remember my father giving the porno talk. That's I remember that. I shouldn't watch it and all this other type of other stuff. But look, it is what it is. Even I think most guys just got to regulate it and realize, look, when you're consuming too much of it, and it's like sometimes fasting from it is a good thing. So no matter what, I think the average guy is going to wind up watching it. There's no way you're going to get around it, and the best thing you can do is really just be disciplined when it comes to it.
Yeah, you have to. As a MGTOW man, and these issues are something that any red-pilled man should know about, and research and look into. If you're concerned about, the truth, then that's something you got to do. And yes, that has to be a part of your discipline, is understanding, the history of it, where it comes from, its effects on you, its effects on people around you, and what you can do to kind of contain it, not let it get out of control.
Absolutely.
There's another article I wanted to bring up that kind of goes. We're kind of jumping all over the place here, but it goes back to originally when I was talking about how gynocentric porn is and the focus of porn is women. And I found 3 articles. I think I sent them to you, but I found 3 articles on the same subject, but I've just got one up here now. This is Sex and Psychology, a blog by Dr. Justin Lehmiller. It says, what do men and women focus on when they watch porn? The answer will probably surprise you. When someone watches pornography, what is it that first captures their attention? Most people would probably guess the actors' bodies and or genitals, especially if they're talking about male porn viewers. Although this would seem to make intuitive sense, is it really the case? According to research, not necessarily. In a recent study, heterosexual male and female participants viewed a series of sexually explicit images downloaded off the internet. Each image consisted of a male-female couple engaged in either oral sex or intercourse. Before viewing the photos, each participant was fitted with a head-mounted eye-tracking device that was able to record the exact section of each image an individual was focused on at any given moment. Thus, not only could researchers measure what first captured people's attention, but they could easily also identify the areas participants spent the most time looking at. The thing with the highest likelihood of first capturing men's attention and the thing men spent the most time looking at was female faces. Of course, this wasn't the only thing that men focused on. They also spent a good deal of time looking at genitals. In addition, I should caution that this finding did not apply to every guy. There was a lot of variability in the features they orientated on. However, it's interesting to note, and contrary to popular belief, that faces really seem to stand out. Why? Perhaps men want to know how excited and into it the woman really is. Then it says about the female participants. What they focused on depended upon whether they were taking the pill or not. For naturally cycling women who were not taking hormonal contraceptives, the first thing most likely to catch their eye and what they looked at the most were genitals, followed by the female body. In contrast to men, naturally cycling women spent relatively little time looking at anyone's faces. So there's a little bit of human psychology when it comes to men.
So contraception plays a huge factor into what stimulates women,
Well,
which is very fascinating.
Yeah.
Yes, that's pretty wild. So then, what was it when they were on contraception?
It says they spent comparatively less time looking at the sexual features of the images. The first thing these women were most likely to notice and spend the most time viewing were contextual features of the situation. Example, the actor's clothing and the background imagery.
Here we go. So then she's focusing on money when she's on contraception.
Yeah. They spent a fair time looking at female
Boom.
bodies and faces, less time looking at genitals, and then did naturally cycling women. Yeah.
That's huge. That's huge to know, because how many women are actually on contraception and how many women are actually fucking.
Yeah.
So again, it goes back to women's hypergamous nature and seeking out resources without putting that much effort into consuming and getting those resources.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really interesting to me because, again, this is going back to men focusing on the faces of women. There's, regardless of they're saying that it's maybe because men want to make sure the woman is being pleasured. But this is, again, I think this goes back to a very deep rooted gynocentric kind of mentality that culture has, not just men and women, but the entire culture. And this shows you a very interesting look into the differences between men and women. And in one sense, you could say, sure, the men care more about how the woman feels, and the women care less about how the man feels. And I think pornography reflects that 100%.
Well, and I think what, to Rico Champagne's point, men probably evolved to focus on female pleasure because by keeping her satisfied, she'll allow him to keep coming for more. That's if I'm actually having the sex. I don't give a shit about the guy doing the porno making her come. I'm not getting off to him.
No.
And I think each guy has their own sexual preferences on what they like. So it has to be this scene. Again, pornography's turned into a Starbucks. It's turned into Starbucks. It's a buffet of porn. Okay, I want a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Give me a macchiato latte with soy milk and sugar cane or whatever. Again, each is to his own as far as what their preferences are, and it shows that in pornography libraries. Each some
so
guys
many
like
categories, man.
So many categories, yeah, so many categories.
But regardless of the category, I guarantee you that the central theme and focus of each film is the woman and her pleasure.
No, you don't say.
Yeah. So and again, that's, I don't know. In my opinion, as a MGTOW man, I think that's dangerous. That's a dangerous a path to go down as a man, because not only it's one thing to kind of drive yourself out of gynocentric thinking, but it's another to fucking jerk off to it and get that huge endorphin rush into your mind as it's happening. That's Pavlovian conditioning, man. Really deep conditioning too. I swear to God, that's why there's so much cuckolding going on. But
I wonder if cuckolding is really all that prevalent.
Well, it's definitely 10 years ago. Never even fucking heard of it.
I'd beat the bitch.
Now it's all over the place. I mean,
swinging. I mean, swinging's probably much more popular. And in a lot of ways, I think swinging might be a way of keeping a marriage alive.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, now
letting your wife get fucked by the UPS guy.
Well, you're in swinging, you're swapping partners. In cuckolding, you're passive as the man.
Yeah, no
passive.
way.
That's that, and I really think a lot.
I mean, my girlfriend was a bar girl, but I went out and screwed around myself.
Yeah, right.
You
mean in Cambodia, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Would I tolerate that in the U.S.? Absolutely fucking not.
No. But it's becoming more and more popular, and I really do think that it's sort of this gynocentric focus of porn. And look, let's be honest, most men don't watch porn, in their leisure time. They do it to fucking get off. So
right.
So
it's not a hobby.
Yeah, it's not a hobby. I mean, they're
watch it for 20 minutes a day. That's about the end of it.
Yeah, and you're doing it to get off, and again, that's heavy conditioning, man. The sexual release is very powerful, and it has to be. I mean, if sexual intercourse was difficult or painful, it would be a huge evolutionary mistake, and we'd all die. So it's very, very powerful conditioning.
What other articles you got?
Let's see what I got up here. There's another book that was mentioned. This is a book maybe I'll just mention so that people that are curious might want to look. And this was mentioned in that video. It's called The Porn Circuit. Understand Your Brain and Break Porn Habits in 90 Days by Sam Black. So if you guys are interested in any of these topics, it's another good book. And I'll mention the other one after this, but this one, just the synopsis says, the more frequently men view pornography, the more they are likely to say they are less satisfied with sex and relationships. Science shows us that acting out with pornography taps into our powerful neurochemistry. This is what I'm saying, powerful neurochemistry. And this can quickly lead a person to use porn habitually, much like a drug. The chemicals that fire when watching porn cause the brain to increasingly crave it until eventually it can feel almost impossible to break free. In this ebook, you'll learn what chemicals fire during porn use, how sensitization triggers and compulsiveness turns pornography into a habit, why it's addictive, why one image is never enough, how it ruins sex and intimacy, and then this guy's offering a solution to break free from it in 90 days. So I've never read the book, but it was referenced in that video that I've linked in the sidebar. So if you guys are interested, check that out. And the guy who did that video, his name was Mark Collette. And his book that I mentioned at the beginning of the live stream that was reviewed by Dr. David Duke is Exposing the Attacks on Western Men. And he talks about understanding the mind, the effects of feminism on the fall of Western man, the destruction of the family, self-hatred and white guilt, bad role models. Yeah, that book's called The Fall of the Western Man. Guys can check that one out as well. And this also, a part of what he's talking about in this book, which he sort of referenced in the video, is the fact he's talking about how porn also, as a cultural weapon, is promoting interracial sex, and how that's a big thing. And he mentioned how you have these websites. What was the one he said called? It's called Blacked, I think. Blacked.
Oh, Black Subs. Yeah, they get. Yeah, that one's. There's a really good article about who the owner is on that that website. They found this college girl in Seattle, beautiful college girl, like girl next door type, and she was getting naked in the library. No one knew, and she got expelled from the school. It was a huge publicity thing, and she went on Black and got fucked by a bunch of gay black men.
Well, yeah, and the guy, this author of the book in that video, the book, The Fall of Western Man, the video of the Jews in pornography. Part of what he was saying is, porn is not only weaponized to kind of destroy the male mind, but it's also weaponized to destroy Western culture, and Western culture being European,
right?
Western and Northern European, so white people. You know, so they use a lot of that porn to kind of promote interracial sex, promiscuity, and a lot of these. It said in the video, if I remember correctly, how he said one of the selling points of the black.com or whatever it is said we get young. They describe the women as white and nubile. So you get this very. It's really the destruction of innocence. And the Western culture. It's very sad. Very sad.
Right, and they have sex with gay black men who are probably too busy looking at each other's dicks and looking at the fucking nubile blonde.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man.
So I stole one of those pornos. You got to read the comment section. The black guys are just ripping into those black guys. They go, what the fuck is this faggot shit?
Really, eh?
Yeah. And you have to understand that most of those guys, the black porn stars, they were all in prison. So they all butt fucked each other.
Oh Christ, really? Eh? I don't know too much.
Yeah, there's a lot of. Yeah, it's very decadent and fucking disgusting.
Well, the whole industry is really.
Yeah, do you have the Jesse Summers article?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
did you pick it up before?
Yeah, I talked a little bit about it. I mean, she single mother, alcoholic single mother, no father.
Yeah, so there's a part of the story. I don't know if it's that article because that's actually a snippet from the original article. Is that when they found out she had herpes, they threw her out in the street like naked, like you can't be in the industry no more. And what's even funny? She goes on that she found Christ. She loves Jesus now. And right.
Oh Christ!
Google search her maybe like a year ago. Guess what? She's back to now. She's hooking in Las Vegas.
Oh, seriously?
She fell right off the train.
Yeah.
She fell right back into it, man.
Well, here you're right. It says here, she goes, I did around 60 films in the time I was in porn and managed to get herpes and had gonorrhea or chlamydia countless times. My agent that was so close to me and I truly felt like we were friends kicked me out of the agency house when he found out I had herpes.
There you
go. She says, I did gonzo porn to start out. And it was the most degrading, embarrassing, horrible thing ever. I had to shoot an interactive DVD, which takes hours and hours of shooting time. With 104-degree fever, I was crying and wanted to leave, but my agent wouldn't let me. He said he couldn't let me flake on it. Again, I don't feel sympathy for these women, man.
No.
No.
Well, what does she want? You did it. You chose to do it. What do you want? Like, I don't understand. Well, yeah, what you did was terrible. We get it. But, you still had a choice.
Well, it's the natural hypo-agency of women. No agency. No responsibility.
You couldn't find a guy with a lot of money to take care of you.
Yeah.
You tell me you couldn't do that at 21, 22 years old. No, you choose to get bukkakied on by some Arab sheiks.
On camera, man. On camera for
and then
the
you
world.
Then you want a bunch of on the camera for the world, and you want some beta bitch fucking crying over your story and send you an Amazon gift.
That's right, absolutely. She says, I just want young girls to know it's not a glamorous life. It's gross, dirty. Everyone has diseases, and they don't care who they give them to. Yeah, no shit. No shit.
Shocker! Spoiler alert: the porn star has herpes and found Jesus, and now she's hooking in Las Vegas.
Yeah, man. Old habits. Old habits die hard.
So, you want to roll a commercial?
Sure, I'll roll. Actually, you know what I got to do here? I forgot, guys. I need to mention a new sponsor we have. If you go down in the links, I have sponsor links. And the new sponsor his name is Nessahan Alita, and he's an author of some MGTOW stuff. So, actually, I'll put it up. I'll put it up on here. There it is. How to Deal with Women, Volume 1. The link in the description of the video there will link you to the book if you're interested in his material and might want to purchase some of it. It's quite cheap. And he wants me to promote it here for you guys to read. I'm going to go to his little synopsis here. And he's from Brazil, actually. He emailed me just today. He's from Brazil, and he's written a bunch of material that is very MGTOW-centric. How to Deal with Woman, Volume 1. The art of dealing with women in love requires from man a proper interior state. I believe this was translated to English, so it's not the perfect translation, but which allows to resist feminine charms and fascination, and a strategic knowledge that allows disarticulation of cheating and attempts to induce passion. This book teaches the art of dismantling and neutralizing female artifices in love and how to preserve oneself from harm, emotion, of passion, as well as amputate the eluded belief of possessive love, which is one of the common evils of Western civilization. There's one review by just MGTOW. It says, The Bible on How to Avoid Being Manipulated in the Romantic Field, a true red pill that every man should read. So there you go, guys. Go to the link if you're curious and check it out. That's Nessahan Alita, a new sponsor for the show. So we'll break for a commercial. We'll come back and wrap this up.
beats of the road, here's your stallion. The car for freedom. The car for hot excitement. The car for a man who is alone against the elements.
Thunder.
The pride is back. It's the power of a compact.
Looks small, but it's so big.
Fuel injected.
Inject me.
My Batsu Thunder. On the toll road of life, you have to pay to prove you can. Live the emotion of an individual. The awesome power of nature distilled into one vehicle. Because after you get struck by lightning, there's thunder.
The My Batsu Thunder.
What's this I found under your bed? The only Engels you're going to read is Laura Ingalls Wilder.
If you think your child might be a red, here are some warning signs. They read complicated literature and have concern for their fellow man. They even like to share. Tell your kids if someone approaches them with pamphlets about recycling, an invitation to a labor rally, or showing any doubts about the fairness of our system, then they should find a teacher or a policeman immediately.
Do yourself a favor. Take both hands off the wheel and touch the stereo. Do you feel the power? Ah, yes, friend, there's a lot of evil in the world, but there is also light. And I have been sent to shine a light on all degenerates, philanderers, liberals, and other evildoers, and expose them for what they really are. Don't waste your money on unnecessary and corrupting material possessions. Give it to me. There's only one thing that will save you, a highly fortified structure in the shape of the most powerful thing on the planet, me. Degenerates will ruin this great city. In my wonderful book, I tell of the impending disaster about to befall this planet. Nuclear holocaust, plagues of flying rodents, the seas rising up and turning yellow. It is coming. It is written by me, but you can save yourself. Contribute to the Pastor Richard Salvation Statue Fund. Pick up your telephone. Call now. 1-866-9-SAVE-ME.
All right, we're back, guys. So we're going to shift focus for the last 20 minutes of the show here. Lamprey, you've got an article you would like to source?
Well, I didn't even, to be honest with you, I didn't even read it, so I figured I'd just share it with you guys.
Well, let's read it right now. And again, this is from Return of Kings. That's
great website.
Yeah, it's a good website. I think Roosh V is the founder of it. And it's funny because MGTOW's always kind of had a bit of a conflict with Return of Kings. Not so much Roosh V, but Return of Kings. A lot of the authors in it really despise MGTOW, and they've come out and slandered it quite a few times, which is really. I mean, I don't really care, but it just caused a bit of a kerfuffle a while back. So there's not a lot of good blood between the MGTOW community and the Return of Kings community. Although I do really appreciate a lot of their articles and Red Pill stuff they write about. I don't agree with the pickup artistry. I think it's also very debilitating. But these guys don't, they think MGTOW is kind of a waste of time too. So the article is called 4 Ways to Stop Being a MGTOW. You know what? I'll share it. I'll share the screen so the viewers can see it. There it is. You want me to read it?
Go for it, yep.
All right, so this is by Corey Savage of Return of Kings. He says, when I wrote my last article on MGTOW, he supplies a link. I won't go to it now. I was glad to see that many people saw the movement for what it was, including many former members who had decided to leave the group after realizing that it was poisonous to their drive for life. And I am encouraged to believe that there are many more men affiliated with MGTOW who will also realize that there is an alternative path once they're shown the way. Man doesn't thrive with complacency. That is indirectly, perhaps directly promoted by MGTOW. He demands more from life. Once a man believes that he can improve his situation in life instead of being stuck in it, I believe that he will get moving. If you're a MGTOW who is feeling disillusioned and dissatisfied with the group, here is a guide to get you started to a new life. As for any man who is proud to call himself a MGTOW, spare yourself the triggering and stop reading here. This is not meant for you. That is, unless you enjoy outrage reading like the feminists. All right. Now, first of all, he does call it a group. I don't think I'd call MGTOW a group, but whatever, that's his opinion. Number one, recognize MGTOW for what it is. First, you must understand why MGTOW exists and what brings these men together. MGTOW may have started with the right intent of defining the gynocentric system that exploits men, but is quickly turned into a congregation of young men who come together to validate each other's bitterness and frustration. I wouldn't argue with him on that. There's a lot of that in a lot of the
That's about accurate.
Yeah. Instead of doing anything to improve their lives, the majority of MGTOW feel the need to attack anyone who suggests self-improvement because it reminds them of their own lack of effort. I would say that I don't quite understand how he believes MGTOW is the opposite of self-improvement, but I suppose he'll mention that. And for all the cries about society shaming them, the members of the MGTOW are the most vitriolic group today, along with the feminists, that constantly shames men for sharing tips on improving their lives. I wouldn't say PUAism is a tip for improving your life, but I can somewhat accept bitchy behavior from feminists as they're women, but to watch these men throw a hissy fit over articles on attracting women or becoming a better man is both hilarious and cringeworthy at the same time. MGTOW also claims that go ahead.
Okay, so he's making good points, but if you want to criticize PUAism is telling you to be someone else, which I completely disagree with.
Yeah, well,
so do what? You're going to degrade yourself and who you are as a person to attract pussy? That's not what it's about. That's not being a man.
No, and I think that's where the conflict mostly lies between this community, the PUA community, and MGTOW, because, and I think it's interesting, the history of it too. I'll just go a little bit into the history of kind of the conflict. There is that I can't remember the author's name, but he wrote some very vitriolic articles about MGTOW. But it's always funny because in my experience being a part of the MGTOW community for so many years, never once have I seen a conflict arise that started with MGTOW men attacking another community. Never once. Every single conflict started because someone from the MRA group attacked them. And then there was conflict, and then it was MGTOW response. Or it was PUAs attacking MGTOW, and I think the reason why PUAs don't like MGTOW is because the MGTOW men kind of can validate their lives without the constant pursuit of pussy. And that's such a contradiction to the PUA's lifestyle that they don't like it. So all the conflict that happened between, let's say, Return of Kings and MGTOW happened because they attacked the MGTOW community. Like, and talk about shaming. Wow. Lots of man shaming from the PUAs to our MGTOW. And again, it was MGTOW retaliated, just had to respond. But anyway, let's continue. MGTOW also claimed that their group isn't about rejecting sex altogether, but as soon as another man makes even the slightest effort to have a relationship with a woman, they go ape shit about how he is a slave to pussy or a PUA loser. For some reason, they think anyone who has sex with a woman is automatically a PUA. I'm sure only a very small number of writers and readers of ROK are actual PUAs. Yeah.
Well, okay. It depends on the relationship. Is he being cucked?
Yeah.
Because if that's taking place, you're damn right we're gonna rip into it.
Well, there's
rightfully so.
Absolutely. I mean, in men's circles, in the red pill circles, I do see a lot of guys going, "Well, you're dating a woman," that happens, and I can understand it. And in some groups, it happens a little too much. But the point is if you're MGTOW, then in order to maintain that kind of disciplined lifestyle, you have to stay away from any really long-term committed relationships because it puts you at a disadvantage. It's a contradiction to what you're trying to achieve as a single man. So I can understand why that would happen. Many of these men have a twisted worldview where all relationships between men and women are either slavery through marriage or a charade by men dressed like clowns who are desperate for sex. Some even develop more bizarre conspiracy theories where every word or action of another male group is an effort to force marriage or sell books on pickup. Their mind is so warped that simply having a different perspective on man and society gets interpreted as advocating hatred or violence against the entire male population just to get laid. That's a little hyperbolic, I think, but not surprising. To escape this men rejecting women not being rejected by them club, you must recognize that MGTOW inseminates damaging ideas about life in the world and poisons the soul with negativity. I don't know if I
No, it's called being realistic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us where we're wrong.
I know.
Please tell us anything of the. How many episodes are we up to right now?
55.
50. Please tell me in 55 episode where we're wrong.
Yeah.
Please, I beg of you.
Yeah.
I'll put $1,000 up. I put $1,000 up. I'll PayPal. I'll Venmo it to you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Venmo. I'll Venmo you $1,000 because we're right.
Yeah.
Plus, believe me, even I've looked back at the 55 episodes, listening back at them all, and I don't see where I've maybe have contradicted myself, but I don't see where we've been wrong.
Yeah, no. The whole point of these discussions is to kind of disseminate the truth, the facts of things, the things
we're learning, we're measuring it.
Yeah, learning, measuring it, observing it, and just sharing that information. He says MGTOW has grown beyond its original purpose, and I do agree with him on that concept because we did a show not too long ago talking a little bit about the origins of MGTOW and how the very first kind of, I suppose, quote-unquote manifesto that was written up in, 2004 by a few guys, focused not just on men's lives, but also their approach to politics and sort of, it wasn't just about the gynocentric nature of our society, but also the political structure of it and how that is also against men. So if you go into, if you go onto some of the MGTOW channels today, yeah, it'll be very focused on the concepts of the effects of women in our lives, women and how women are seen by society in our lives. Because we talk about white knighting, we talk about throwing men pornography, throwing men under the bus, the dangers of marriage and long-term relationships, and the consequences of women's hypergamy and narcissism, which are very real things. So, let's see where he goes. He says, there's a couple of MGTOW contributors whose videos I've actually enjoyed, but the majority of the followers are men who are stuck and lost. Bitterness and even anger is normal for those who take the red pill. Agreed.
I wouldn't say, are you lost, AM?
No, absolutely not.
You're actually doing very well, aren't you? You're doing fairly well, right?
Yes. I feel very at ease and very comfortable. No bitterness.
Well, you're doing well in your own life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't speak for all our listeners, but I know, I don't see a lot of vitriol in our comment section.
Rico's doing fantastic. I'm doing fantastic. You're doing fantastic. That's the point of going your own way. There's the rage. Okay, it's the milieu. The milieu, is it? Yeah, right. I think so. You're Canadian. You should know these French terms. Yeah. Yes, there is a lot of hatred and animosity towards women. I am not denying that. I am not denying my fucking rage, but my outrage and my bitterness and resentment towards women is just.
Yes.
That doesn't mean it's not gonna boil over into me making money. I'm not gonna let it hurt me in other ways and not make me depressed. I'm still gonna enjoy the same music. I'm still gonna go out to dinner with my friends. I'm still gonna try to get a promotion and better myself and try to succeed in my life, because there's gonna be, as a MGTOW man, it's part of Poindexter's revenge. And that long term, you're going to be the winner, okay? And PUAism, I don't see you being a winner in the long term. You're gonna have to look back at it and bite your lip when that bitch started opening her mouth about letting a bunch of brown skinned people over the border because you want to have sex with it.
Yeah.
You see, you're gonna ignore her nonsense that spews out of her fucking mouth. I think this is great. You should do this. Oh no! MGTOW man's not listening to that. Listen, bitch, shut the fuck up. Okay, get in the fucking car, you dumb stupid bitch, and suck my fucking dick. PUAs aren't gonna do that. MGTOW man's gonna say that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, he says here most members of MGTOW suffer from a fixed mentality where they don't see the possibility of things getting better for themselves. It's in such contradiction.
Not me. I'm talking about the world, asshole. What the fuck you talking about?
Well, it's like what does he mean by getting better for themselves? I mean, is he saying to make things get better for you, you have to go out and find pussy? Is that what he's saying? Because he's not very he's being very critical of these sort of subjective and vague concepts.
Open-ended.
Very open-ended. He's not being specific and saying, well, here's what you need to do to better yourself. Here's what I know for you to do better for yourself, and this is what you're doing wrong. This is why you're not doing better for yourself. But I can't think.
You know what you're doing wrong? You're faking yourself to get pussy. That's what you're doing wrong.
Yeah. He says it's fine if you want to settle, but for those who want more from life, you must choose to fight. Fight what? What am I fighting? Another thing would be to grow a thicker skin, not take general criticism of MGTOW personally. I thought MGTOW wasn't. Well, I mean, that's the pot calling the kettle black, because there's nothing more cringeworthy than a PUA who can't stand criticism on his lifestyle. I suspect that many MGTOW members love to insult other men who they perceive as being better than they are because their fixed mindset doesn't allow for self-growth. Again, he's repeating the same talking point without being specific.
He's being specific that he's getting laid and you're not.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, again, getting laid does not correlate intelligence. Women prove that. In fact, women are repulsed by men that are much more intelligent, or they're intimidated, or either repulsed or intimidated. And you dumbing yourself down to fuck a 21-year-old dingbat from Kansas. I'm sorry, I really don't. I think that's great. That you're getting laid, and sure, I'm jealous in one way or another. But if you can't hold a stimulating conversation with me over over drinks, then you're a fucking loser. I don't give a fuck that you're getting laid.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, it's all. He's only got 4 points. He says I could care less for those who pride themselves in accomplishing nothing and feeling proud just for saying they're going his own way.
That's a 13th grader. That's not MGTOW.
No, and I have to admit that he's kind of trying to say, oh, I like MGTOW, but I don't like the guys that are always trolling the internet looking for things to validate their beliefs. Again, pot calling kettle black. I mean, you're writing an entire article on it, man, without any real specific points to learn from. Okay, so MGTOW shit, what are you offering? Nothing.
Yeah, tell us your 50-step guidebook for playbook on how to hook up with a chick in a bar. Like,
no, you got to pay for that.
Don't you have to pay for this service for these things?
Yeah, you got to pay for that. He's not going to give that shit away for free.
Look, all right. It's very simple. It's very simple. All right, and I'm really not that good at picking up women, let alone Western women. I'm just so repulsed by Western women that I don't even give a fuck at this point. But look, it really comes down to time and place on when to be confident and when is the best time to strike the iron when it's hot with women and picking them up. There's no PUAism. It's not you're going to meet a girl in a supermarket and make sure that you're buying this type of yogurt because when she sees this type of yogurt, she's going to, ooh, you like this type of yogurt. Is that non-dairy? And like, oh, yes, it is. I like to go to this supermarket and pick up this yogurt. It's much more sustainable and, it's free-ranged yogurt. Oh, my God, let me suck your dick. That's not how it works. Okay, that's what PUA is about.
Greg.
It's really putting on a big fucking show. It's not organic.
Well, yeah, and they try to sell that knowledge. You know, they try to make a profit off that knowledge. Greg Q says PUAs are enablers, and he's absolutely right. The idea PUAism is rooted in the finding validation in yourself as a man by how many women you can pick up, and I think that's very pathetic. And I know if you said that to a PUA, he would go vitriol. He'd lose his fucking rocker. They can't handle that kind of criticism. And look, we were talking about porn today. Our culture is overly sexed as it is. Absolutely overly sexed. And to go out of your way to pick up a woman who is probably fucking diseased, doesn't give a shit about you, wants you to pay for her pussy, which you will inevitably have to do, and she's concerned only about herself. You know, that really PUAs. Look, if you ever read any of Roosh V's articles, you know, who's the head of the Return of Kings, the PUA guy. He's got his book out now called Game, which was actually pulled from Amazon. But if you read a lot of his articles, I've read quite a few, and I've never read his book though. But in his articles, he talks about being in Eastern Europe and going to bars to pick up chicks. Right? He's not fucking walking through the park and picking up a girl who's, you know, doing her daily jog. He's talking about picking up chicks in bars, man.
Is he from Eastern Europe?
I don't know if he's from
whoa,
there.
Whoa. Is he from Eastern Europe?
I don't know if he's from Eastern Europe, but he spends a lot of time.
No. Is he from East?
I don't know. I'm not sure where he's from. I know he's American, but I don't.
It's fucking retarded. So what the fuck is this guy think he is? He's in a foreign country.
Yeah, a lot of his articles that I've read, he's talking about picking up chicks in different countries.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, hello. A lot of the articles I've read from him, he's talking about picking up chicks in foreign countries, a lot of them Eastern Europe, and he's everything he mentions in his free content.
He's American.
He's American. But everything he mentions in his free content that you can see on YouTube or read in his articles is always about picking up.
Listen to me.
Yeah.
Throw everything he stated, everything he writes about, right into the fucking garbage. Who the fuck is he? So that's me, like, writing about girls in Cambodia as an American. It's no different. Mm-hmm. And you're going to talk about PUAism, picking up poor Eastern European women? That's bullshit. Go and try pulling that shit to a snot rocket in New York City. Let me know how fucking far you get.
Yeah, exactly. He got chased out of Toronto after a talk. So I'd like to see him try and pull that shit off in a bar in Toronto, too. But the thing is every bit of advice that I've heard him give, and again,
right,
I haven't.
He's not gonna do.
No, I haven't studied a lot of his work, and again, I haven't paid for any of his material, so I've just looked at the free content he offers up on different platforms, and I'm not that well versed. But everything that I recall seeing was him picking up chicks in bars, and here's what you do, here's a technique, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? Oh, he's Iranian. Rico says he's Iranian. His heritage is Iranian, but he is American. And, like, what a waste of time. What kind of women are you going to meet in a bar? You know? Really? So, but, I mean, if all you want to do is get laid, I suppose that's the greatest place to be. But, I mean, the dangers of picking up women in bars are many. The juice ain't worth the squeeze, man. Juice ain't worth the squeeze. So.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want to touch on before we call it a night?
Nope, that's good to me. Okay. What are we at? What's the time?
We are 2:30? At 2.5 hours. So, well, guys, that's 2.5 hours for the show. Thank you for tuning in. Again, check out the sponsor links below and any of the sourced links I have put up so you guys can go over and read some of the articles and watch some of the videos we used for material tonight. And again, a thanks to our guest, Alan from Indonesia. It's nice to have someone from the old country on. And yeah, thank you for watching, guys. We'll be back next week. I can't guarantee which day it'll be, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday night. I do have a guest lined up, but it's not confirmed yet. His channel is called Red Pill Philosophy, and I've been a long-time subscriber. I'm really hoping. He has said that he will do it, so but we haven't confirmed a time or date yet. But if so, probably next week, we will have Red Pill Philosophy as a guest. So hope to see you guys there, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a good night.